Lloyd Begley. I'm the museum curator. Come on in.
Hello, welcome. My name is Gordon Barnhart, and I am the Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan. I'm sitting behind an early 20th century mahogany desk in the study at Government House in Regina. Saskatchewan has always been a place of big dreams and larger-than-life characters. These remarkable people have played out those dreams on a vast prairie canvas. Today, I invite you to enjoy a new television series with the unique name, Yes, Gargoyles Do Live in Saskatchewan. The Architectural Heritage Society of Saskatchewan is the sponsor of this exciting series. Each year, I collaborate with the Society to present awards of excellence in architectural heritage. This series furthers the goals of the awards to stimulate interest in our history, to preserve meaningful places, and to educate our citizens. This series will take you to Saskatchewan cities, towns, villages, and the surrounding countryside. You will meet Saskatchewan people and hear their stories about the history, folklore, and built heritage of our beautiful province. I have always taken great interest in Saskatchewan's heritage, including this magnificent vice-regal house and our impressive legislative building. Join me today to discover the rich history of our province. You will experience a fascinating tapestry of stories woven together by Saskatchewan's people. I invite you to sit back, watch, and enjoy. And you know what? Gargoyles do live in Saskatchewan.
Welcome to this episode of Yes, Gargoyles Do Live in Saskatchewan. It's the show that tells you all about what's happening in the world of architectural heritage. In this episode, you'll go to L'Orange to meet a bishop whose church is by the lake. And then we'll take you to the stacks at Saskatchewan's archives to hear how we preserve our past. And finally, you'll see a heritage log cabin that serves as a community hall.
Welcome to L'Orange, All Saints Anglican Church, L'Orange, established 1845, and the building has been built here 1909. My name is Bishop Charles Arthurson. I've been here the last 23 years. I came in as a priest, 86, and then I was elected 2 years later as a suffragan bishop. First Cree-speaking suffragan bishop here in the Diocese of Saskatchewan. This is our little church. It's built by, I'm told, by people from Reserve. Every Sunday we have a service, 11 o'clock. We have a service here. We have usually about 50, 60 people each Sunday morning. We have both languages. We have English and Cree language back and forth. All my sermons are both languages. In 1845, around there was a chief in the reserve here. He went over to the Paw for the summer months to see Reverend Bud, and then he came back and he bought the church here, and then they started building the church. And I think he was I'm sure I think it was Chief Joseph Charles. I believe that was him. But there's memorial windows here. This one on my left, my right-hand side is John Cook. Samuel Abraham was another leaders in the church, and I can't tell you about those gentlemen. These were brought from England, I believe. A couple of windows at the back there, one on the top there, that circle one, and that one there below there, that's another stained glass window that they bought. This is what we call a hymn book. And these are these are the Pepe Pupa words that people use. And then these are the syllabics, and then French thing they use. A lot of people now today use this, read this stuff.
Is that Cree right there?
Yeah, this is Cree syllabics. That's what's called Cree syllabics
Cree
right here.
syllabics
Yeah,
right here.
and there's English
Sort of
translation, the English words. Yeah, and these are the Cree books, common Cree prayer books. It's just straight syllabics. Further down is straight syllabics, and then there's
Could you read?
more.
Could you read a little bit of it?
No, I can't read much of it. And these are morning prayer, evening prayer, and communion services here. Also collects, epistles, and gospels. And then they have burial service, baptism service. It's all in here in this Cree prayer book. Yeah, these are the syllabics, different Old Testament, New Testament. Mackay did a lot of that, I think. And also, I think Archdeacon Ferris. I believe this is Archdeacon Ferris' copy. And the clergy that came, going into the mission fields, most of them had to learn a language, the Cree language. Got my books on. Maybe this one will tell us.
So you're using those every Sunday still?
No, they just stay there. I don't read it. So this one is 1908. It was printed in 1908.
Does anybody know how to read the syllabics?
Very few people that read the language. There's only one lady here that takes the Cree book, both English and Cree books, and she takes while we're having a service. And I usually try and if I know the page of the Cree Bible, Cree prayer book, I'll tell them the page of the Cree, and both also in English. That's what we do. And this one is this book is Holy Communion and other services. This one, language is quite different in this one. Language is quite different in this one, and this was given to All Saints Lac Laurent's gift to Emily G. Saw. The Hall, Blackhurst Park, London, England, 1912. 1912, and I can't, maybe, and there's language is quite different language. It's English language, but it is the order of communion service in this book. And it's a little different from the present prayer book. They've kind of moved things around in the prayer book, but pretty close. But language sometimes I look through those in language sometimes. The different wording, it's not the kind of wording we use in everyday talk here in Laurent's. Well, I was hoping that when we come to our anniversary, 100 years anniversary, I thought we'll use this for communion service, and I suppose everybody will be all mixed up, but it'll be fun to make copies of it and use that service in our anniversary, but we haven't come around doing that yet. And here's an English Bible. There's an English Bible here. And there's another English Bible over there. And the far pews you see over there, those are the pews that were made and then they were left here. We can't really change anything around here. And these ones were made by penitentiary in Prince Albert, and they're donated. In the province, there's 3 dioceses in the province. We're Saskatchewan. We go from Manitoba east, and then Alberta west. And then around Prince Albert area there, south of Prince Albert, that's where the diocese cuts in. I could show you the map of the diocese after. Cuts in there, and the diocese goes up to the Arctic. So we have. I looked after 31 parishes. I looked after 30 with churches, 1 with Anglicans, but we didn't have a church there. And we've been blessed. To the people that we have here supporting us. Thanks for coming. I'm glad that you came over and telling you a little history that I know of. There's not too much right up in about Laurens. And God bless.
Today we're going to be looking at the types of records that you can expect to find in a provincial or local archives relating to architecture. And this will look at a variety of documents that we have here at the Saskatchewan Archives Board, many of which are relating to the construction of the Diocese of Qu'Appelle. And as a starter, we find that there are published records that relate to the history of sites, such as a construction magazine that was published in 1915. They did a special edition of the magazine that focused on work going on in Saskatchewan that year. And it includes the architect's drawing, the plan for the St. Chad's College, as well as a photograph of it, and various other buildings in and around Regina. So if you're looking for historic buildings in Regina from that era, whether it's a legislative building, churches, schools, business blocks, and so forth, many of these are recorded in this fine publication with just excellent photographs. They identify the architects, the names of the contractors, some of the building materials involved, and so forth. Private residences are included, and both interior and exterior photographs. So that's one particularly good source. Other types of resources we have here at the Architects are also published. We have this series called the Public Service Monthly. And it was a series of magazines that was put out in the teens and 20s. Unfortunately, it ended with the onset of the Depression. And it talks mainly about government initiatives going on around the province. For instance, the construction of the Prince Albert Jail, and it includes the architect's presentation drawing. This one was done by our provincial architect, Morris W. Sharon. And elsewhere in the magazine, you might find a photograph of a cornerstone laying ceremony. And this one was done at the Saskatoon Normal School, the Teachers College, and another one done later on at the Weyburn Mental Hospital. And some of the interesting things you see here, aside from the dignitaries, is you may get a feature such as the sign for the construction firm, Pool Construction, shows up very clearly. So you get information from the photographs, as well as accompanying text that talk about the program, the construction program, and the people involved with the work. And these magazines are an excellent source for about 20 years during a period of time when Saskatchewan was undergoing major development, hospitals, schools, and so forth. And these are all nicely reported in quite good detail. For people who are doing research on the construction history of the province, this is certainly an excellent opportunity to get both historical information and photographs and drawings. Everything from a simple one-room school to an elaborate multi-room urban construction. We have an extensive photographic collection at the Saskatchewan Archives, over 1 million photographs, including some photo albums, such as this one that was taken by R.J. Leckie. Leckie was the construction firm that built the legislative building. And they also built the Diocese of Qu'Appelle's St. Chad's College. And so you can see here various stages of construction. You get an example of the materials, loads of brick, loads of lumber, construction equipment, tower to help lift equipment to different levels. As the building progresses, the roof design is coming on. Window placement is taking place. And albums like this are particularly good as they not only show the evolution of the building under construction, but they also show the kind of scaffolding that was being used at a certain time period, the kind of safety precautions, or lack thereof, that was being used at the time, how carefully people kept the site clean, or how things change basically as the building evolves in its construction. And it also includes details of statuary and terracotta materials that have gone into the building. And all of the terracotta that was made here is photographed in detail with its particular code. And you can see all these features at the Diocese of Capel buildings today. As you can see along, it includes things like the bishop's mitre, some of the angels and cherubs, the lamb, and so forth. All these pieces are carefully numbered and ordered in mass for this kind of production. And then at the end of it all, there's an overall view of the completed building in 1914, including quite an ornate fence that most people seem to miss because it disappeared many decades ago.
I'm Ross Harrington, and I've been a user of the archives for a number of years, particularly looking at architectural heritage issues, primarily around the province and largely in Regina, I guess, since I live here. I guess as a user of the archives, there's certainly a tremendous amount of resources in that building here in Regina, and you can look at things from the Henderson directories in terms of specific people and locations. They have a number of Henderson directories from Regina, Prince Albert, Moose Jaw, Saskatoon, and a tremendous resource from that perspective. The archives also has an incredible collection of photographs. If you're lucky, you'll find photographs of the old buildings that you're interested in. Obviously, a lot of them were not perhaps well photographed way back 80 or 90 years ago, but they have some very knowledgeable staff there that can help you locate the old photographs that might be helpful. There's just a lot of other resources there. If you're looking for obituaries of various people, you'll probably find them through the search aids that they have at the archives. So that helps you quite a bit in terms of getting more background information in terms of the family and relatives and that kind of thing. There's also some aids related to the old newspapers around the province. So if you're looking for, again, specific buildings, the finding aids might help you identify what newspaper, the date and the month and the day and the year and the page number. So you can certainly get information that way. And there's a pretty good collection of public, largely provincial documents that will also perhaps lead you to some building information, particularly if they were provincially or local buildings. There might be a record in there on those buildings. So, and that's just touching the surface. As you talk to the archivists there, they'll suggest different avenues for looking at different things and put you on to other people perhaps that might be able to help you. And so it's just a wealth of information, just a tremendous place to spend a few hours on a winter's day when you're doing some research.
So we have an extensive collection of architectural drawings at the Saskatchewan Archives. They're for private buildings, for government buildings, businesses. We've got any number of different drawings here. And some of that, including Harding House.
Well, welcome to another rainy day in Waskesiu, and here we are at the Community Hall. My name is Rick Locken, and I'm the past chairperson of the Waskesiu Foundation. And standing next to me here is George Wilson, and George is the manager of the Chamber of Commerce. Now, just kind of giving you a little bit of a tour of the community hall, and one of the things the foundation, the Waskesiu Foundation, has as one of its objectives